With advanced driver assistance systems fitted to modern cars now, and regulators are often insisting on these safety systems, cars are becoming almost impossible to crash. This video is an unbiased look at these assistance systems, particularly auto emergency braking, which detects a potential collision and applies the brakes much more quickly than a human can react to. I've looked at lots of the feedback online, both from the safety reports and also from end users, and I would really love your comments on these systems. Do you have these systems on your car? Do you find them a real pain? Do you turn them off? Or have they saved your skin on a number of occasions? First up, let's just define these emergency driver assist systems and what they're actually doing. And it will vary a little bit from manufacturer to manufacturer, but cars are now equipped with cameras, radar sensors, proximity detectors. They're handy when parking. And this is just a logical evolution of that. The car is now monitoring the space in front of the car and behind the car, depending on which direction you're traveling in. And if it detects a potential obstacle, it will automatically apply the brakes and stop the car. And that reaction time is far more quick than a driver. Now, safety reports show that this has up to 50% reduction in rear end collisions, but there is a bit of a downside. It has potentially caused problems for some drivers. And feedback that I've had from some drivers with these systems, they really hate it. And we're just going to analyze why that is, why drivers are hating these systems, and whether it's the driver or the car or a little bit of both. Many accidents are just caused by driver error, inattention generally, and people tend to brake too late or they don't brake hard enough. So these systems are designed really as a fail-safe. Now, many of these systems in cars will actually learn as you go. So when you first get the car, they're rather sensitive and really annoying. But as they adjust to your driving style, they refine themselves, and there's also software updates that are pushed out when your car goes back to the dealership for an update. These systems are always being refined and perfected over time. They're still not perfect, they can't be. Many drivers have actually praised these systems for literally saving their car from a really serious accident, braking in a situation they hadn't even noticed. Maybe they were distracted, it prevented them drifting out of their lane, that sort of thing. And there's a lot of really positive feedback from drivers with these systems. But conversely, a lot of drivers don't like these systems. For example, one driver I spoke to recently was always complaining that when he overtakes, he goes up behind the car in front and pulls out to overtake, but his car has started braking, making the overtaking maneuver very tricky and very difficult. Other drivers have reported a problem when they're turning right at speed. The car seems to think you're wanting to veer off the road into the corner rather than turn into the road, and they applied the brakes, and that has caused a few rear end collisions at low speed. Now, you can say that that's really the fault of the driver behind. They should always leave enough space, but it is unexpected when a car suddenly stops. You've just started moving into the turn, and then the car suddenly goes into a full-on emergency stop, and that is going to catch out a lot of drivers, particularly with the driving standard around here. A lot of drivers do not leave sufficient gap and sufficient distance. I would say then that is a downside. These systems are often too sensitive. In some cases, you can turn the assistance down, but in many situations you're not turning the actual assistance down, you're just making the warnings come up later and later, and it generally gives you a bit more time to just do your own thing before the car starts indicating there is a problem. And if you're an advanced driver with good reflexes, you may prefer that. You may find it a bit of a distraction when you're getting all these early warnings of a situation you've already spotted and you've already adjusted to. Going back to my friend there that was having problems overtaking, what he was actually doing was coming up much too fast on the car behind, leaving insufficient braking distance. And that really is a dangerous maneuver. And I think when you analyse the complaints a lot of drivers make about these driver assistance systems, it's because the driver wants to do something dangerous. They've built up bad habits. They leave things to the last minute before they pull out. They're not watching the stopping distance. They're misjudging the timing of the overtake maneuver or another maneuver on the road. And these systems really are just there as a safety net, and they're being triggered because you are beyond the limits of safety. Now, you've probably been driving for 40 years and never had a crash. That could just be down to luck rather than skill. If you're driving too close to the car in front and you've left insufficient stopping distance, no driver, even with the best reflexes in the world, is going to be able to safely stop if that car suddenly braked or hit an obstacle and came to a dead stop. It's fair then to say that a lot of these systems are just reminding drivers that they're developing bad habits, and that is what drivers do not like the fact that they're being reminded they've picked up these bad habits. Now, there are some instances where an object has been misidentified. It's a shadow, a bird, a bag, something flying across the road, and it's been interpreted as a pedestrian, and the car has gone into full-on emergency stop mode. At speed on motorways, the sudden stopping again can be a problem. You could have a rear end collision with the car behind you going into you. Again, that's really their fault for not leaving sufficient space. But if your car hadn't done its emergency braking thing, that incident would never have occurred. Now, when you weigh up the 50% reduction in accidents with the occasional false positive, most drivers are actually favouring these systems when they've got used to it. When you first get into a car with it, it's disconcerting. Now, one of the things that really winds me up is the lane assist. On a motorway, I can see the point of it, but in our country roads, you do not want to be driving on the left-hand side. That is generally where the potholes and the obstacles and the problems are. And you will, when it's safe to do so, just move out and use a little more of the centre of the road, and you'll be constantly fighting against these lane assistance systems if you have it switched on. Let me know if your lane assist is a little more intelligent and does allow you to make adjustment for the potholes, or whether it's always trying to push you into the potholes and the drains and the edge of the road, because that is your side of the road. Some of these country lanes are just too narrow to do that. If you see a car coming the other way, you just have to stop, pull in and allow the other car to pass, or wait for a passing place and just time it so that you both go through that passing place at the same time. The systems are improving. The early systems had lots of false positives. They generated a lot of bad press, and a lot of drivers are really anti them. The newer systems are much more refined, and they're continuing to refine them. There is such a pool of data showing that this is a safety system and it's preventing a lot of deaths and a lot of accidents. It's unlikely it's ever going to be removed from cars, and it's unlikely you are going to have a permanent switch where we can just turn it off in a car. In most cases, it can be turned off. Some cars you just have to turn off all the traction control, the traction assistance. It's kind of dangerous driving a car without those assistances if you're not a brilliant driver, and certainly it can be quite treacherous in wet and slippery conditions. I'd like to know what your thoughts are on this. I've tried to be as unbiased as possible. Personally, I like to make the decisions myself. I mustn't speak too soon. I always try and make a continual effort to improve my driving. I don't consider myself a good driver, and that, I think, is the thing that makes you keep learning, keep experimenting, and keep developing your skills as a driver. Let me know if you feel you're a good driver. Be honest in the comment, and whether you're going to be using these safety systems or deliberately avoiding a car that has these safety systems on it. Thanks for watching. Please boot the like button if you found this video interesting and informative. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. That really does help us out with the algorithm, and I've lined up this video and this playlist that you should find really interesting. Thanks for watching. See you in these next videos.